Instagram, TikTok. How's it going? I'm Yogi Chris, captain of IMC Nation. This is a very special stream about what is the AZD process, what is the beast process. And hold on, I'm just setting up all the streams, making sure the tech is right. Skip ahead if you want to just, before I do all this initial stuff. And what's going on here? We're live on a couple different platforms. Yes. Okay, good. Nice. And it should be streaming even to my Instagram, my PhD Yogi Chris Instagram, but it won't be able to store there. So if you're seeing it, consider yourself lucky because I'm not going to be able to post it there. But I wanted to stream. I need yet another device. What's up? Instagram showing love. That's right. Click the hearts. And we're on Zoom here. You're not going to be able to join, but you should DM me if you want to join my Telegram groups because that's where I talk about and I post these links and whatever. Okay. And then everybody else, welcome. I'm Yogi Chris, captain of IMC Nation, founder of Ninth Yoga, all that. And I live here in Pegasus House, IMC Nation, Pegasus in Las Vegas, with founder of IMC, AZD. And that's what this stream is about, AZD and IMC Nation. And specifically AZD process. That's where this tattoo is a sigil or a coat of arms. It's got a bunch of symbols in it that represent meanings that can be like reminders. It's a code, and I have a picture of it right there too, because when you meet somebody in life that's world class, it, at least if it's in the subject that you have your eyes on. If I might not recognize a world class computer programmer, but if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you'll be able to discern very quickly that there's something about that person, like recognize real, like recognize like. So I can tell a wrestler. I might not know he's world class, but I can tell he was a wrestler, unless it was like 70 years ago and he's like 90 years old right now. And even then, probably because it forms into how you carry yourself. That's why I'm telling these guys, just a little side note, but it's related to the beast process because we got guys in IMC Nation, they're dads, right? They, different guys. Some people have kids in their 20s, some people have newborns and everything in between. Some people are married with kids. Some people are separated with kids. Some people are divorced with kids. Some people are in battles over kids. And all dads are in the situation of they're a role model for their kids. A shitty role model, usually, because they're emotional. They crash. That's what the theme of this was inspired by a recent phone call. But it's common. I've heard it a lot. And I know everybody's going through it because I go through it in my own way. There's gravity is gravity everywhere. The physics of airplanes is the same everywhere. Maybe a little different if you're higher altitude, more humidity. Honestly, if you're on a different planet, it would be some numbers would be different, but it's the same principles. The physics of it, what makes it work is the same. So even though you're on your planet, I'm on my planet, he's on his planet, she's on her planet, the physics of the mind and emotions, it's the same physics, maybe just different numbers. Here, gravity falls at 32 feet per second squared. What does that mean? Every second it goes 32 feet per second, then 32 feet faster per second. The next second it's 64 feet per second. The next second it's 32 out of 96 feet per second. So that's how fast gravity accelerates things. Maybe on another planet it's 100 feet per second. On another planet it's half a foot, 6 inches per second. But everywhere there's gravity. If there's a planet, a moon, a star, whatever, gravity pulls, and there's a number for that. And so your number may be different from my number. The composition of my atmosphere may be different than yours. I was raised a white male in middle America, athlete, patriot. Okay? So that's what my atmosphere was made of growing up. What's your atmosphere made of? You know what I mean? But you still have an atmosphere because you're breathing. And if you didn't have an upbringing, you'd be dead. You had an upbringing and you survived it. So here you are listening. And that's pretty dope. You just have your own atmosphere. So like Sosa's on, you have your own atmosphere. You have your own gravity. Maybe that changes in time. You become more massive, physically more massive, intellectually more massive, financially. You accumulate mass maybe. And gravity is different, but gravity is still there. So gravity, atmosphere. So the physics of all of the stuff, I don't want to give 1,000 analogies. You get it. Like the physics of your mind and emotions. So I go through what the single dad goes through, what the married dad goes through, what the drug addict goes through, what everybody goes through. I can go through it because they're just a mind going through it. And I just need to know what the physics what are they experiencing? air flight is different than submarines. So submarines is the same physics, but you're dealing with different stuff. So it's like not the same physics. You're dealing with pressure in a more significant way, you know, dealing with whatever. Like it's a different thing. So you might be going through a completely different thing. I just need to know the physics of it because it'll make sense. The mind and emotions, it'll make sense why you're experiencing what you're experiencing in the situation that you're experiencing it, given your own life history and everything. It all makes sense. The universe is cause effect. It makes sense why everything is happening. You just might not know why. It might not make sense to you, your little subjective awareness in the grand scheme of all. In the all of all, it makes sense. To your puny consciousness, it may not make sense why this is happening to you or why you're going through this. Okay. So then what do? That's where Stoicism comes in. That's where the AZD process comes in. It's literally when you meet a world-class individual in the subject that you're all about, you will recognize something. That's what happened when I first came around AZD. I recognized something. It was hold on, I want to write something down here. Okay, cool. Hope you're liking this. Right. Let me just check the stats here on people, places, things. Okay. All right. Back to Zoom. Okay. So not to drop the enthusiasm. What were we saying? When I first, oh, so I was researching game and pickup and whatever, and I'd been around some coaches, a guy named Sneak, another guy named whatever his name is. I remember what his face looks like. These were top coaches under Neil Strauss, who wrote the book The Game, who infiltrated the secret society of pickup artists and was a protege. He protéged under, I don't know if you can past tense that word, protéged under Mystery, who's foremost expert on earth, how to get the most beautiful women into bed with you. Starting from nerd, becoming famous for doing that thing that we would all hate on him, but secretly want to know. And he became world famous for that. And coached Neil, consequently also coached AZD, right? So anyway, I was looking at the subject and communication and relationships or whatever. When I meet, and I was also studying AZD and Vince Kelvin and some other things. So I had a bunch of information, invested definitely money and time, effort. Oh man, I was doing the worksheets. I was trying. It was hard to keep up with it, and so I get it. When guys like Victor, I was on the phone with, and he's having trouble with. There's another guy I was on the phone. He's having trouble with, the discipline of. There's another example. So I'm talking about the discipline over every few weeks. He'll fall off. It's difficult to stay up with the AZD process if you're going to the T what it originally was with the calisthenics and early wake up. And, we were doing that during lockdown. And we were doing that with a whole movement of hundreds of guys literally doing it, checking in on Telegram, on Instagram, when their wake up is, and really showing up. And it also was lockdown. So it's like, what else are guys doing? It was a way of coping with everything. In a way, like I said, you and your puny consciousness only know a little. You don't know why everything's happening to you. And so you get really caught up trying to control things that aren't in your control. They're just out of your control. You were attached to it going according to plan. It didn't go according to plan in various ways. It could be big things like your job, a car accident, family member, whatever. It could be little things like bad hair day, a little kink in the neck. Could be, that overdraft fee or some shit. Like, just all sort, and they can pile up too. It could be, the other person's having a bad day that you, God forbid, live with the woman, or, you just have a bad communication because they're having a shitty day and you don't understand why did they just treat me wrong? Man, you don't understand all the causes in their life either. It's not that you got to like accept it. It's not that you got to tolerate it or accept disrespect or something, but it's out of your control. What is in your control, how you respond, right? So this is Stoicism. Now, it's easy to hear and understand whatever Stoic philosophies I just said. It's not in your control. Don't try to control other people, blah, blah, blah. It's another thing, I gotta slow it down. Another thing to apply it. And in difficult situations. Yeah, when the going's getting tough, when the going's easy, but when the going gets tough, it's only tough internally. Maybe there's some real tough situations externally. But we could all kind of debate a little bit of which one's tougher. And you will definitely see humans on this planet going through internally tough situations. They're really struggling, but externally, not much is happening. Why you don't, if you could measure the insides as much as the outsides, you'd be like, that's a mismatch. You would also see heroic people that externally, man, that's tough. And then if you could measure their internals, they're fine. Like Gandhi or something. They're good. Jesus. They have mastered inward, the inner state. And that's what this is. The AZD process is mastering the inner state, forming the structure, laying the foundation, digging to the bedrock, getting to the root of the matter that you need a more solid inner game, inner structure of lifestyle and how to live. And that's what it is. You need a schedule. You need a wake-up time. Now, things are different for women. I would say things different if I was just coaching women, but these streams are for men. If the women are going to change on this earth for the better and help mankind, it'll be through following a man. They're not going to do it on their own. That's where somebody messaged me, the liberal agenda has taken over everywhere. Everywhere. I'm just thinking of, sometimes to control somebody or get them to behave a certain way, you may give them an ultimatum. Later, you may realize that I could have communicated this other thing. It wasn't clear to me. Literally wasn't clear. As you do this over and over and are on this path, really, you'll actually experience what is literally a clearing of your mind. You now see what was totally available before, but you weren't seeing it. Why? There was like a fog between. Why? Where'd that fog come from? It's not the weed and the coffee and sometimes it could be a little bit of sleep deprivation, but it's not actually. It seems to be thoughts and emotions. I'm looking at thoughts and emotions between me and that way of communicating. That later, when these emotional thoughts and thoughtful emotions, are in the way, I don't see that way of acting, responding. I don't see that way of responding. When the emotions and thoughts clear away, I see a different way of responding. And man, what if I had responded that way? So much less effort, stress. It's not necessary. So much self-imposed. We have a belief system, which is like a bridge. Okay? A bridge, let's imagine, it's easy to imagine, like if you remember physics in high school, like toothpick bridge. If you ever did that, you glue a bunch of toothpicks together and try to make a bridge across, just stand up a pile of books or something, and then the bridge of toothpicks. And then you put some weights on it and you keep adding weights until it breaks. So you're measuring who had the best toothpick design that made it so it was the sturdiest, right? Okay. So you could just smash a bunch of toothpicks and glue together, but it's actually not going to hold. If you do it with intelligent design, you can, make these toothpicks so much stronger. And we all have a structure inside our beliefs, how we process what's happening to us, for us, with us. When people say what they say, when events happen, and it's all contextual. So if they say whatever they say when I'm in a mood versus they say that same thing when I'm in a different mood, the context all of a sudden shifts on what's receiving. Right? They change nothing about them, change my inner mood, and I'll change how I interpret it. Ain't that the shit? That's a subjective. That means your own, not nobody else can observe it. It's just within you. A subjective shift in context where the same thing that happens on the outside, you interpret it differently. For example, if you have a bunch of money in your bank, you're probably feeling better about it. Something happens that you have to dish out some money, a tire pops or something. Not that big a deal. You don't have any money. Same tire pops. Fuck. But literally the outside changed not at all. Although now you could say, well, the outside changed because you don't have money in the bank. Okay. So let's do a different example. You're really happy for whatever reason. Let's not say it's because you got money in the bank, but just remember that. Let's just say you're very happy and content. Somebody's rude to you. Now let's say another situation, you are tired and angry. Somebody's rude to you. They do the same rudeness. You respond different. Why? Okay. So we have a subjective where we process the world. You're going through moods, but you also have this other thing called beliefs, which is like expectations, how you are expecting things to go because you believe it to be so. Like if I drop this knife, it's going to fall. I believe it would be a trip and I would experience all kinds of emotions if I went to drop this knife and it just floated, or it went really slow, or it went up, or it went over there. I would be like, whoa, because I have a belief I might get scared. I might go, dude, all kinds of, and that's very out of the ordinary. Now, let me just, what if I say I'm going to invite a girl on a date and she gets angry? What? I have some belief if I'm going to have an emotional reaction to that. So that's like our structure. It's a toothpick bridge. What's happening to us on the outside? Do we have the structure to handle the weight of whatever it is? And really, because whatever it is usually very small, unless you're getting beaten up or choked or strangled or killed or crushed or whatever. If something physically is not happening to you, like big cancer growth, like if it's just some shit, then it's our interpretation that we might feel it heavily, we might feel it lightly, and so we got to get control of this inner state, and then you get into all the magic and manifestation or whatever, and that is the alchemy. The alchemy of the AZD process is the utilizing how to use stoicism with certain key points that are pointed out as sort of pillars that you can build a whole structure on, or sort of just anchor points that you can make a battery or an engine or something like that. These pillars of stoicism that are codified in the sigil as a reminder. And by the way, only like 3 or 4 guys have this tattoo. It's not like a cult where everybody's got to get. I was inspired because I was like, fuck, I want to always remember that. That changed my life. It blended everything I was doing with yoga in a way that I actually began, and to this day, am developing my character. It made me aware of my character, discerning, like, clearly my character. They say babies, they don't really know separation when they're born. It's just like a union because they were just out in the mom. And maybe after a year or two or whatever amount of time, they start to recognize that they are them and that is different. That is different. Starts with maybe objects and then with parents or whatever, like they are different. And then they start to, of course, codify who that is. Mama, that, like they get, because they're referring to each other that way, start to hear the pattern, make the sound, eventually get the recognition for the sound. Okay, it reinforces the word. Okay, that's the language for referring to them. But before all of that was recognizing they're them, I'm me. The baby doesn't recognize that at first. The eyes aren't opened enough. The mind isn't opened enough. You know what I mean? Or for whatever reasons. And even as an adult, I first, at the age of 27, had to become aware of my mind. I had a mind. I used to say, I had a mind, and I found out it was never mine. It was never mine. My mind was never mine. I didn't know my mind. I didn't see my mind as separate from me. Even, well, I guess I'd only done yoga a little while, even though I was 27, and just educated all my life, and, athletics and all bullshit, drugs and shit. And all of a sudden I started seeing, I have a mind. And it didn't fully liberate me, but it was a huge awakening because then I was really hungry for teachings of the mind. And I became I began seeking it like candy, dude. I had these little crackers my girl brought me. It's like vanilla wafers or something, so good. Oh man, they're like crack, dude. I would watch Austin Powers and eat those nonstop until I got as fat bastard. Because those are so like good things she only gives me in small doses. And she's like, "Oh, I know how to do him in now. Just give him unlimited crackers, and he'll do himself in." She's probably watching right now. If she's not, boo on her. Mal, muy mal. I'm learning Spanish from all the Cuban strippers. Muy mal. Nobody ever taught me that, but I think it means very bad, right? So I like telling them very bad. Muy mal. And what am I saying? I became hungry for like any teachings or analogies or stories or anything, any piece of information, a video, a content, a book, or anything that made me aware of my mind. Because where I became aware of my mind, I had to realize, I knew it was like flip side of a coin. You have heads, you have tails. If you have one, you have the other. Even if it's a two-sided coin, two heads, doesn't matter. It has another side. If you have one side of something, you have the other side of something. If you have left, you have right. If you have up, you have down. They define each other. You can't have left without right. There's always going to be right of left and left of right. Okay. So as soon as I became aware of my mind, I knew that meant that the moment before I was unaware of my mind. I was ignorant of my own mind that I was carrying with me, living and deciding things from and whatever. Just ignorant, unaware of it. Then I became aware because of that teaching or piece of content or whatever. I loved that feeling. Oh man. It was so valuable. It was like, man, I have that. And I'm just like, it would be like having an arm and not knowing you have an arm and trying to do everything in life with one arm, not realizing your arm's right there. You can move it. You're not aware of it. Kind of like that. Each little piece of mental information was like a new cell that I awakened in my body. And pretty much I just start to awaken my body, awaken my mind. And wow. So that was really through, how did I do that? How did I do that? That was, there's a whole process that started that was like an avalanche and it culminated or it snowballed really until it became whoa. And it became whoa and went when I was starting to study Arash at the age of 28, actually. And because his teachings were so about the mind, people were asking me earlier about, have I been able to make more money with the teachings of AZD? Like the daily class, guys get on the daily class is $97 a month every day, 10 a.m. every day, consistency, because you can build around consistency. When things are inconsistent and random or sporadic, it's harder for a plant to grow. It grows better actually if you water at the same time. Now, every now and then you shock it, but you can only shock it if it has a pattern. If there's no pattern, if everything's always shocking, then actually having a pattern is shocking. You need a pattern, right? And advanced trainings, whatever. So through at the time, this is like 9, 10 years ago. It was a digital product to buy some recordings. There was no daily classes or whatever. I paid whatever, $97 for like 4, 5, 6 recordings. Man, girls are crazy, bro. Girls are crazy. Let's see. Um, where's I going with that? I was just hungry for awareness, state of mind shift. Okay. Oh, so it was so integrating for my yoga. That's what I was seeking. And so I found character development through the beast process because that was a whole new awakening. At the age of 33, I moved in with AZD. And so that's 5, 6 years later, roughly. And then character. What is character? And just like the mind, it's still the mind because it's like a refined understanding of the mind. What is your character? It's the toothpick bridge. It's your belief structure and how you really more than that because it comes from a belief structure. But what happens is your belief structure will command, for lack of a better word, how you act, your behavior, how you behave. And how you behave becomes known as your character. So your structure becomes your character by how you respond to the world. Stoicism and the beast process integrated yoga for me with a kind of lifestyle process that made me aware of my character. and how to reshape it, just the same way I was reshaping my posture. Okay. Now, that comes through a process of discipline. All the hashtags for the stream: discipline, uh, emotional alchemy, mindset alchemy. So mindset, emotions, alchemy, discipline. Hashtag all those. And that's a nice forward summary of the AZD process. Now, if we could add some other things like alpha, player, dating, I mean, it would be shapeshifting monk warrior. I don't know how much those are used in hashtags or whatever, but that would be hashtag the description of the AZD process. But in broad strokes that everybody can understand: discipline, emotional alchemy. I mean, people don't understand alchemy, but people don't understand emotions. They don't understand words. They don't understand shit. If you say alien to them, they don't understand what that means. If you say man, what's a man? They don't understand. They don't understand the most basic natural thing. It's like the first word that a baby would learn is dad or mom. But an adult can't define what a dad or mom is. That's the planet we're on. So you find as you go deeper in this that it gets deeper. Ain't that a paradox? Ain't that a motherfucker? Ain't that a bitch? The deeper you go, the deeper it gets. The farther you walk, the farther the path. The higher you climb, the bigger the mountain gets. It's like that's the path of evolution. You're not going to beat evolution and like get ahead. I mean, you'll get ahead of the people around you, but you're not going to get ahead of infinity. It goes to infinity. Where are you going to go? Infinity and beyond with your evolution. So you just keep going. Or you stop and then you deteriorate, or you do minimal. Like for a long time, I kept my guitar and I played my repertoire of songs just a little bit, just enough to kind of keep it going for years. Eventually, got to let it go. Either make something of it or let it go. You know, you've proven to yourself a couple times since that you can just pick it up and give it a couple hours and you can really remember something that's dope. Maybe one day you won't be able to, but it's there. You see, you're understanding the mind. It's there, but it's like deteriorated, just like any document. It disintegrates or whatever, you know. But it's laid down inside. You can dust it off and, you know, repair it and remember how to play. Why am I saying that? Anyway, reshaping your character, the AZD process, alchemy, discipline, something about hashtags I was talking about. And, you know, what do you do if you're down in the dumps or you crash or you fall off your discipline and you just don't know why? Well, you have a belief structure that's allowed something from the outside to affect you. Because if you want to be doing that thing, why are you not doing that thing? Are you split up inside? Yeah, you are. Because you're carrying a mind. You need to wake up to it. You're carrying a mind that's not yours. Your mind is not yours. Now, once you become more and more aware of your mind, now you can start to consider other people's minds. And they're perceiving you how? By your character. They see you as a character. And when they see you as this character or that character, they'll perceive what you say differently. I wear a white cowboy hat, or I'm a white guy wearing a cowboy hat at the club last night. My friend's super white with two dark black girls on either side of him. I call him an Oreo. The dancer that's talking to me is all like shocked. The fuck? Racist motherfucker. If I was wearing bling with a grill and like, I don't know, whatever rappers wear, and I say that same thing, does that change how you're receiving it? What if I have a bunch of black guy friends around me and I say it? What if shit? What if I'm black and I say, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's they're perceiving you a certain way, okay, but now we got to get more ethereal with it. It's not just your physical skin color, how tall you are. That, yes, they're perceiving that. But like I said, if I'm dressed a certain way, you perceive I'm this character. What if I'm in a suit and tie and I say the same thing? What if I'm a bum? What if, right? And that's, again, it's physical. But the cowboy hat, let's say triggers a certain archetype and an image of a man and portrayal of it in movies and whatever a person's experience with that subject is. Like if they'd never, ever, ever seen anything cowboy hat related, I wonder what it would look like. Honestly, that's fresh eyes. It would be like, it's a funny looking hat. If, come to think of it, this is a funny looking hat. If like you didn't know why it looks like this, because it's like, what the hell did they do to this? I just think I like the Oriental hat. It's just like a cone. Very simple. It's straightforward. It's like, yeah, I get why it looks like that. Yo, Binks, man, you missed this whole killer stream is just gnarly. You know, AZD process, man. Get on it. That's what I recommend for everybody. Get on it. I don't know what you're doing with whatever else you're doing. Like becoming aware of your mind, your character is an endless, infinite. That's where I was. It was either you keep going to infinity and improving forever. You know, and what's your drive for that? Your motivation. And if it's not big enough, if it's not important enough, tap in. Oh, you want to do video? Sure. I got 10 minutes. You can do video. Just how do I do that? Okay, we're about to have a guest. I don't know how to add you because you're not an option to be added. Oh, maybe here, guests. Okay, invitation sent. Guys, we're gonna go for like 5 minutes. 5 more minutes. Hopefully with the volume on my TikTok, because this is my like second phone. Speaker's not really all that good. But hopefully everybody hears it. Whoa. Okay. Nah, on stream with AZD. Oh, can you tap in? Yeah, there wouldn't be much dialogue with AZD. You know, he's teaching the guys in person mostly. And then everybody learns. But you can definitely tap into class and see what it's like, you know? You got to see what it's like. I get it. You know, I saw so many video blogs on YouTube, which were, you know, usually like 8 to 10 minutes or so, maybe sometimes longer. I saw so many on Facebook. He would upload them on Facebook. This is 10 years ago. It had a different reach on Facebook, you know? And I saw so many of those before I bought my first product. And then that first, it wasn't built like it is now. It's not the library of stuff like it is now. You know, I'm getting tons of messages I got to go to. So this stream was killer, bro. And then yesterday, my live stream was also very good. If you check that out on Instagram, the at least first 15, 20 minutes, AZD shows it in advanced class today because it's I wasn't intending for that, but I say a whole structure of how AZD, and on YouTube, you guys can see whatever my stream was yesterday. You see the whole structure of why it is. I mean, you'll have more reality on it because there's a lot of greatness here. Okay, I'm getting tons of messages, very important stuff. I'll see you all in the next stream. Mark your notifications, whatever, so you know when I go live. I'll see you on the next one. Oh, praise the Lord.